Hello, tonight we are going to focus on the impact of two of the most important ideologies in the 19th century, capitalism and democracy. Both of them have had a great impact in the modern world, and here we have three experts that will give us information about it. They have been studying these ideas for all their life. First of all, we are going to see the impact of capitalism in Africa.
First of all, we are going to start by defining what is capitalism. Uh, Capitalism is an economic system which was first proposed by the ideologies of Adam Smith, which is the father of capitalism. This economic system is in favor of the private ownership, which means that one person should own the means of production, such as factories, officers, and shipping.
But the capitalist ideas did not begin with the African population. Capitalism as an economic system began with the Europeans that were colonizing Africa during the 19th century. There were some important events influenced by the capitalism that affect Africa in important ways. These are examples.
Capitalism is an important economic system that affects Africa in the 19th century. First of all, we have to contemplate that capitalism affects Africa, especially during the colonization of the Europeans, and we have to contemplate that Belgium was one of the first European countries that had one of the first colonies in Africa. As the other countries start to see that there were many benefits of this, they wanted to have a colony as well. Idea proposed by the capitalism is that the government shouldn't intervene in the economy. This would cause free markets, which are like the client can choose in the different variety of products. Next, the owners of business, which are influenced by capitalism, only look for their self-interest. This is really different to the communism, because in communism, every owner of the business look for the common good. And another thing that is very important about this important system that affect Africa in the 19th century was that the competition among businesses is good, because it promotes, like, you have to make your business better than the other one in order to get the money you want and the money you need. The European countries wanted to colonize Africa because of three main reasons. The first one was the demand of resources, because Africa was a continent really rich in minerals and resources. The second one was new markets. The Europeans were trying to look for new trade routes in order to sell their products. And the third one is to expand territory, because territory means power. Every European country wanted to expand its territory in order to get more powerful. As the Europeans started to colonize Africa, they started to establish a monopoly. This means that only one country could trade or sell their products in certain territories of Africa. The European colonization of the African territories also affect the rest of the world, because they send some products that they obtain from Africa, such as resources and slaves. They send those products to other countries, and that also make the rest of the world a capitalist economic system.
Finally, we are going to see the impact of the democracy. There are not much democracy ideas in the 19th century, because in that time, in Africa, is happening the colonization. They have more capitalist ideas than democracy, because in that time the Africans want to be free and be treated with more equality and justice, and they want to be free.
Now we are going to talk about democracy. Democracy means ruled by the people. A democratic government is when people choose their governors by vote.
And here are some examples of how was the democracy situations in Africa in the 19th century.
In Africa was a direct opposition of the democratic ideologies, because the Africans were not treated as equal. They were suppressed and citizens start making revolts against the government because they were fighting by their freedom. They start claiming their human rights. Leaders of the freedom movement were inspired by the Enlightenment because they received a Western-style education.
From this, we can conclude that in 19th century was a very significant century for Africa. Because in this century was when the British Empire was colonizing all the country. A consequence of all the acceleration of the scientific discovery, the capitalism grew. We can infer that the capitalism started in Africa by the British Empire. Africa hasn't changed in no significant way since that time. In 19th century, there wasn't democracy. Every African was treated as a slave with no rights.